Hello, Ram 55. Coming back with the next series in our Virtual Skipper 5 round robin racing, the Melges Cup, racing Melge 24 sloop sailboats down in Rio de Janeiro. Today is round 9, United States versus Italy. We had our closest race yet last time versus Japan. Today, the United States, who is leading the fleet with 14 points, is going up against Italy, who is currently tied for third with 10 points. This is round 9 of 11. Here's the comparison of the two boats. Italy has a slight advantage in hull. The United States has a slight advantage in spinnaker and sails, and the crews are about equal. So let's get the weather report for today's race off the coast of Rio de Janeiro. The weather is sunny, the wind's out of the west at force 6. That's a strong breeze with winds at 25 to 36 miles an hour or 22 to 27 knots. And as always, we are deposited on the race side of the start-finish line. We have to get to the pre-race side of the start-finish line before we get down to 2 minutes. There's a bird's eye view of the course. We're starting at that green line in the middle. We go down to the first buoy, back down, downwind to the second buoy, turn right, around the third buoy, turn left, and then it's a race to the finish line. And while I was showing you that race course, I was on port tack and Italy was on starboard. They had right away, and I got a foul already. You can see that 360-degree symbol on the far right side of the screen before those starting flags. And as has been my tactic lately, I've been following my opponent around on the pre-start side just to see what he has in store. If you haven't seen these videos before, on the bottom left is a radar screen depicting the map. My boat is the yellow boat in the middle. The Italy boat is in red right now. Color of that boat changes depending on who has the right-of-way. If his boat is red, that's showing me a red light. I have to honor him and stay out of his way. If his boat is green, like it is right there, he has to honor me and stay out of my way. So a little bit of starting maneuvering there, pretty awesome. He was luffing up toward the committee boat that we just passed on the right side there to starboard. And tried to fake me out a little bit, but we are right in his wake on a beam reach, which is basically the wind coming off the side of the boat, 90 degrees to the right. If you look down at the apparent wind angle, it's 745 degrees right now. Perfectly dead on the side would be 090, so it's almost a perfect beam reach. We're going to follow the Italian boat around. We have less than a minute to go before the start now. And once we do, again, I'm going to have to do a 360-degree turn as my penalty. We're not giving the Italian boat right of way while I was showing you guys the map. Over on the right side, once again, we have the compass. At the top is our current heading. It's also reflected by the dashboard on the bottom. Heading HDG in the dashboard is 332, and that's the same as on the compass. The yellow arrow is the direction of the current. The blue arrow is the direction of the wind, and the green arrow is the apparent wind angle. Right now it's 52 degrees off the left side of my boat, and that's shown in the dashboard again with the AWA, apparent wind angle. It's now going to 070, so we are off to a good start. We did not get across early like we did last time against Japan. I am maneuvering my boat to make that arrow just to the side of my boat there green. Green is the optimum angle for tacking in, or for the wind angle for that current heading. So if I make that arrow green, and right now it's blue, I need to get a little bit more over to the left. But you know, I'm going to take advantage of this time to do my 360-degree penalty, get back on our course and make that arrow green, and then we'll see where we stand compared to the Italian boat. So that is the optimum angle for the wind. That arrow is showing the wind angle, and if you look down at the dashboard, the apparent wind angle is -30. It's about as close as we can get toward the wind. We have to sail on angles off to the side. So Right now we're both on port tacks. And because I had to do a 360-degree turn, he should be just a little bit ahead of me. The last race was against Japan, and you saw that video. They were ahead right up until just before the finish line. They took their spinnaker down just a little bit before us, and a little bit of a tactical error there, and we nipped ahead at the very last moment to stay on our winning streak. Now here we are, an interesting case. I'm on starboard, he's on port. I have right of way, but he is passing ahead of me now. If we were going to collide, he would be responsible for staying behind or out of my way, but we just barely missed, which means he is legal. That's how close that was. If there was any conflict at all, he had to avoid me. It's on the starboard tack boat. Gives me the advantage. So now I'm starboard, he's still port. We're going in opposite directions on opposite tacks. I'm just playing the wind shifts. You can see that arrow moves around as the wind shifts, and I have to maneuver my boat to get full advantage of the current wind direction. Just shifted to the left, which is considered being headed, which will now make being on a port tack a little bit of an advantage. So I'm going to tack over to the other side, and the mark over there is in the distance, indicated by that orange bobbing arrow. We have to pass that mark to the right side, so that racing mark will pass down my port side, my left side. We were very close when we passed last time. Probably just missed him by a few feet. So when we cross this time, it'll be interesting to see how close we are. Now the wind shifted more on the nose of my boat, so I need to fall off a little bit. I was losing speed there. Lost a little bit of time, not paying attention. So again, we're going to use the advanced navigation technique I was telling you about before. If you look at my heading on the dashboard on the bottom, it's 309. My boat tacks in an angle of about 80 degrees. So if I want to tack to the left, I subtract 80 from 309 and get 229. And the course to the next marker, CNM, gets 229. That'll be about the timed tack, but I also have to take into account the current. You can see the current is on the right side, so that's going to be pushing me more toward the mark. So I have to give myself a little extra room when I tack. So right now my heading is 314. Subtract 80 from that, it's 234. And when it gets to 234 plus a little bit because of the current, it'll be time to tack. And you can see that the Italian boat actually got the better of me on that tack. He is much further ahead as we're crossing now. So I should be able to tack over and fetch that mark now, but I want to get right in the stern of that Italian boat. .228 is what I'm looking for, and we're across. We should just be able to make that. If you look at the course over the ground now, it's 223, and the course to the mark is 225. We are about 1 degree short. Hopefully we'll be able to zoom around the mark. That's assuming the wind doesn't shift angles. It shifts, we're messed up. Now I don't know if we're going to be able to make that. I'll try to zoom around. I'm going to make it. We're down to 4 knots. Nope, I got a tack. So tacked a little bit too early on that one. And once again, that's giving the Italian boat a huge lead as they round the mark. Lost a lot of time right there because it was just short by a couple feet. Now this is where the AI skippers have been letting me down. They don't sail with their spinnakers very efficiently. In fact, you can see right now, we are going to blow by that Italian boat. He should be way out in front of us. We should never be able to catch him. So this is a problem with the game. There's no way I should be passing that Italian boat like that. Now a way around that, I'm going to finish this series out. A way around that is to do the fleet racing where I set up my own races and I can set the wind speeds and the course. In the fleet races, they are doing much better. But here in the match racing, I am a quarter of a mile ahead of that guy already, and he was around the mark 17 seconds ahead of me. Should never have happened that way. So feedback to the game, guys. Know that this is an online sailing race. And oh, by the way, they threw in some solo races against artificial intelligent skippers. But some of us want to play by ourselves against artificial intelligence boats, and they just are not up to speed as far as tactics and boat handling. So they could really improve that. But again, this is primarily designed to be an online racing game. So on this heading, I cannot quite make that mark. I tacked too late. I should have tacked a little bit earlier. And if I put it over on the beam like that, the wind is blowing that spinnaker too hard. So I think what I'm going to have to do is lower the spinnaker as we get up to the mark and just go around under spinnaker. I'll use the best boat speed I can as long as I can, but as we get up there, I can't go to the left and around that mark. So I'm going to send the crew forward. We're going to drop the spinnaker. Now we're under jib, and even though we're going slower, I can point directly at that mark now. Maybe this is an opportunity for the Italian boat to catch up, because they're still under spinnaker, and they should be able to take that all the way into the course. So I'm going to go around this mark to the right. So here comes that Italian boat. They still got the spinnaker up. Should be catching up a little bit. So we were 17 seconds behind the Italian boat. We passed the previous mark. There's the next mark, which we have to pass to the right, and that means that the mark will go down on the port side. At the top, you can see that there's zeros next to my boat. That means we have passed the mark, and when the Italian boat rounds the mark, there'll be a time there. That'll tell you how far behind me they are. So we turned a 17-second deficit to a 29-second lead. Again, that should never have happened. That Italian boat should be in front of us. So anyways, we're on a beam reach, heading to the last mark before we turn left and head for home. Now again, using a little bit more of the advanced navigation techniques, you can see the course over the ground on the dashboard. On the bottom, it's 191. The course to the next marker is 189. So I'm aiming 2 degrees to the right of that mark. And that takes into account the side slip of my boat through the water and also the movement of the current, which is pushing me a little bit sideways. It's mostly from behind. But as long as I can keep the course over the ground to the right of that mark, I'm going to pass it, and it worked out like a champ. Once we get around this mark, put it as closely as possible, left-hand turn, and nothing between us and the finish line. So you'll see that time go to 0 again. Send my crew forward, put the spinnaker up, adjust my boat to the wind so that arrow turns green to give us the fastest point of sail. And now all I have to do is go between those 2 green buoys that are marking the gate, which is the finish line. Now there's the Italian boat reaching that mark. We'll see how far behind they are. Rounding the mark now, and they are 31 seconds behind. So we picked up an additional 2 seconds on that leg, but we are almost to the finish line, and this will be the next race won. I made a few mistakes. I tacked too early going around the first mark. We had to do another tack. We lost some time to the Italian boat. Thanks to the poor artificial intelligence, we still won the race by a sizable margin. So here we are looking down the finish line. And we have won the race, finished that course in 10 minutes and 20 seconds. So at the end of this round, Brazil beats Japan, Germany beats Spain, Australia beats Great Britain, New Zealand beats China, United States beat Italia, Switzerland beats France. And at the end of 9 rounds, the United States is still holding the lead with 16 points. Switzerland in second with 12. New Zealand and Australia tied with 12 points. Spain and Italy tied for 5th with 10. Japan and France tied for 7th with 8 points. Brazil and Germany tied for 9th with 6, followed by China and Great Britain. We'll be back soon with round 10, and we'll see you back on the water. This is Ram 55. We appreciate you watching. Give us a like if you like what you're seeing here. Subscribe if you'd like, and leave some messages. I'd like to hear from you guys, hear what you think, and I'll get back to you if you leave any messages. So we'll see you on the water.